Hi everyone, we're over at the Higher Purpose Learning Group. I just wanted to go over some stuff with you guys more in depth. So I'm going to be scrolling through my Facebook page a little bit because there were some things that I wanted to answer that was asked to me earlier. And then I wanted to tell you guys about kind of what's been going on. Everybody's been talking about the how they're feeling and how they're feeling really lethargic and that sort of thing. I wanted to talk to you guys about what I've been experiencing, and you guys can talk to me about what you've been experiencing, but I want you to realize what it's like even as a person who I teach, and I've been an empath, a psychic for my entire life. There's constant adjustments to how you live. I'm going to get into that in a minute, but I want to answer some questions that are on here. So one of the persons, Kirsten, had talked about, and I know I did answer her, but she had talked about crystals and what kind of rocks that you should wear. Just for anybody else who's out there, and it's funny because I actually have some really cool rocks that somebody sent me. Like, I was so stoked about this. It was like Christmas. But you basically, any rocks that, if you go to a rock shop, any rocks that you feel good or they feel clean. That's a better way to say it. So if I go to a rock shop and I will pick up rocks. First, go the ones that you're drawn to. Secondly, pick them up. If they have a feeling, and I don't know how to describe this any way other than when I pick up rocks that I vibe with, they feel very clean energetically to me. If I pick up rocks that I don't vibe with, they have like, it almost feels like they're covered in mud. But probably like an energetic mud, but I can feel it on my hands as if I had real mud on my hands. So you want to stay away from anything that feels kind of muddy feeling to you. So if they feel clean, the next thing you want to do when you go home is you want to put them in water. So run them under the faucet, put them in water, because rocks actually clear, their energy clears really easily in water. So any stones or any rocks that you have that you want to put by your bed and whatever, just cleanse them underwater. So that's really good. So that's one thing. Lori had, and I had answered her, but she said, when I was young, I used to have voices, vibrating voices in my head, and like muted conversations going on all around me, but there seemed to be a rhythm to them. I no longer hear those, but I was wondering if this is something other people experience. That is something that people do experience when they have mediumship tendencies. So there's a difference. There's a difference between, and again, I'm going to get into all this in my class. If you guys are interested in this stuff, you are so going to love this class. This is why I'm doing it. I'm super excited about it. I really hope I see you guys over there. People are registering like crazy, so you definitely want to get in on the registration. But there are different types of psychic abilities, as you guys know. You know, there's clairvoyance, there's clairaudience, clairsentience, there's being an empath, there's mediumship. Not everybody is all of those things, but it's really important for you to understand which one of those skills do you have. Like, what abilities do you have? And we're going to go through that in that class too. And I'm going to have you take this poll or this quiz, and it's going to help you determine what abilities you have. But Lori, for those specific abilities, those are mediumship abilities. And it's funny because all mediums are psychics, but not all psychics are mediums. So it's a very small quantity of people who actually have mediumship tendencies. 10% of the people that have psychic abilities have mediumship abilities. So that's just kind of where that is. And so you guys can go ahead and ask questions, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's been going on. So we talked about that dimensional shift, and my son's a medium. My daughter is very sensitive. She's an empath, and I have a lot of all of those skills, and they're very highly developed. And so what's been happening in my life is my skills are developed really high, but it's thrown me off kilter a little bit too. Everybody in my life, and we've talked about this in the Higher Purpose Learning Group, I find that throughout the day, lots of naps, I feel like I have to sleep a lot. I try to sleep when I can. I try to take naps when I can, but I'm finding myself being very lethargic, and it's not on a physical level. It's definitely, if you're feeling lethargic, when you're physical, you can kind of feel it in your body, in your, you know, in your arms and your limbs and that sort of thing. When you're feeling kind of mentally drained, that's a spiritual type of energetic thing. So if you're feeling like, everybody talks about this, but if you're feeling like mentally drained and just like you need to sleep, that is because on a spiritual level, your energy's low. You need to recharge. When you sleep, it recharges your energy. And so there's been a lot of, because of the shifting of the energies, it's pulling from all energy that has a lot of energy source. So as everything's shifting, everything's trying to pull from everybody else's energy, and everything's energy, things, dogs, plants, everything. It's just constantly pulling. And so that's one thing that I've been experiencing as well as you guys. And so even though that I put up protection and I know very well how to protect myself, we are all experiencing it as well. The other thing that I'm noticing that's really driving me crazy is I'm noticing that there is a lot of people who have all of a sudden in the last especially 6 months have become very sensitive, and they are opening like this. So their chakra systems are opening. Whether they're practicing or not, they're just doing this. And so they're becoming very open spiritually. Their spiritual bodies are just very open. And when that happens, if they're not aware of it or don't do things correctly, what has been happening is they are open to pulling negative energies into their space. And so what I've been noticing is I've been around a lot of people that have even come into my house that are hanging out with other people that do not have good energy around them. And because I'm so sensitive and I'm such an empath, when they come in and they pull this other person's energy in with them, and it hangs out around my house. And it's really bad when I try to go to sleep, because these energies that are attached to these people, I can't sleep. So I have to do a clearing on my house, I have to do a clearing on the person. So I'm noticing a lot of people running around being very unaware that they are pulling negative energies with them everywhere that they're going. And here's the interesting thing. Even when I've told these people, you are pulling in some bad energies, it's staying all up in your area. Well, yeah, I know, I've been really tired, or I know I haven't, like, I don't feel like myself, or like I'm feeling irritated or agitated. Even when they know, they still go hang out with those same people. Number one, rookie mistake is once you realize that you're sensitive or you're opening your psychic abilities, you can no longer live your life like other people. I'm sorry, it just isn't going to happen. You cannot go on and live your life like you can ignore these energies, or like they're not going to affect you somehow, and just pretend like you are like everybody else. It doesn't work that way. Believe me, I tried when I was a teenager. I thought, oh, I'm not going to be psychic anymore. Yeah, that didn't work out very well. So you can no longer live your life that way. Once you become sensitive and aware, you need to live your life and be aware of things that affect your spiritual body and your physical body. And the thing is, I guess you could ignore it, but what's going to happen if you ignore it is it will go from your spiritual body to your physical body. So after you ignore things that are going on with your spiritual body for so long, you pretend like you're everybody else. If you're very open, then it will manifest into your physical body into a way that will make you pay attention. So you don't want to ignore those things. But the other thing is, these people who I'm noticing that are hanging out with negative people and that are pulling in negative type energies into their energetic field that they could easily get away from, they are finding that they're depressed. They're finding that they're not feeling very, good. They're finding that they're agitated or irritated or just edgy. And then when they come around me, I can feel the agitated and edginess. Now, I've done this for so long that my brain immediately goes, it's not you, it's them, because I can separate it very easily, very quickly, because I've done it for so long, but it affects my family. That's not awesome. So when you find that people are bringing that into your house, a lot of times you'll find, even if you're aware of it, it will affect your kids, your husband, and then they'll start getting edgy and cranky, and then you'll just be like, seriously right now? Like, you go away. So I'm ready to answer some questions if you guys have any questions. Brandy says, yay, I'm so happy I got here to watch you live. Hi, everything. Hey, Brandy. Hi, nice to see you. And so if you guys have questions on what you're experiencing, I have gotten more rocks that that's going to help. That helps with the energy. So we've been doing a lot more incense in my house. We've been doing clearings of the room, so a lot more incense, a lot more rocks by our beds, so to sleep at night, which has been helping a lot. And we've been taking a lot of naps. That's just what's been happening. I mean, there's no way to get around it. And it's kind of like the other thing. Yes, it will go away. Don't make it ruin your life, and just work through it. I mean, just live your life, have fun, enjoy your life, but just make some small adjustments. Just take some naps, and make sure that you're monitoring who's coming in and out of your house. Be very aware of the energies that they're bringing in. Be aware of the energies that people have, like when they're around you, and just live your life. But do realize this is going to happen for a while. I'm not sure how long this energy thing that's making everybody really lethargic and tired is going to last. Personally, I have lots of stuff to do, so I wish it would go away soon, but I'm being affected as well as you guys. So it's just, you just have to deal with it. So does anybody have any questions? If not, I'm going to probably step out in just a few minutes. I will show you a few more rocks that I have that was sent. This is one of my favorite ones, which I don't know if I showed you guys, but this is a super cool rock that my kids got me. This will pull in energies. It will repel energies as well. But as you can see, that there's a lot of crystals in there. So if you have any rocks like this, you want to keep the rocks very clean. You want, I mean, not like daily or anything, but weekly. The other thing, oh, I forgot. The other thing that I wanted to let you guys know before I start answering these questions is some of the things that I did to try to combat all this energy that's going on is, first thing I did is I went and did, well, it was our anniversary, so we went and did something fun and we hung out outside. That's really helpful. The second thing I did when I got back to my house, and this is really important for you guys to know, things collect energy. Dust is really bad. Clutter collects energy, and so if somebody comes in your house with a weird like energetic vibe to them, and you have like a lot of junk mail around or like stuff around your house, that energy will hang out in the clutter. Absolutely, it really does. So the second thing that I did when I came back was I got rid of a lot of the clutter. I cleaned out my office. I got rid of all the trash. You want to get rid of the trash. You want to dust and get the dust off of your bed, off of your like tables. Dust holds a lot of energetic weird junk in it. So it's not just being clean, it's like being energetic clean. And yes, that's weird, but it's very, very true. So I'm going to get back to some questions here. Diane, I got so tired right after the short chat you just did. I literally felt like I fell asleep for a few minutes or fell asleep. That's awesome. And that happens also when you're becoming a sponge and you're sponging up knowledge. You can just get really tired, and that happens when your vibration raises real high or whatever. So if you have like a spike in vibration, in a lot of times, this is really weird, but when I do readings and I do talks, people always tend to tell me their vibration can tend to raise, and they're just like, wow, I felt really good for a while there. You will have a spike in your vibration, and it's kind of like a sugar crash. It can spike up and then it can come down. So that's really funny, but you're awake now, so that's good. Me too. Never took naps in my life since I was 5, and now it seems just 2 p.m. I just crash. Yes, 2 p.m. That happens to me too. It's like 2 p.m. I'm like, oh great, I hope I get everything done I need to by 2 p.m. But roll with it, Kathleen. Like, just like I said with anybody, take naps where you can. It's not something we're gonna change. So until this moves out, we learn to adjust. That's what you need to do. And you know, being a sensitive, being an empath, being psychic, that's just the way it's been my whole entire life. I'm used to it. The energies over the last 40 some years, they're not the same. They've never been the same from when I was 5 to when I was 15 to 20 to whatever. They don't stay the same. So you guys, when you're becoming more sensitive and the energy's shifting, you have to just, my screen went dead, so I have to pull that up. You want to just be flexible. You want to flex with the energies. You want to roll with energies and just still just enjoy life, but learn if you're tired. It's kind of like when you're, and I hate to use this, but you know, when you're physically sick and you feel like you need to sleep, it's kind of like our spiritual bodies are adjusting. That's what is happening. That's why you're feeling this way. So as our spiritual bodies are adjusting, they need to sleep as well. Like, you need to recharge. So that's why it's happening. As long we're going to feel tired. We're going to feel like we need to take naps until our spiritual bodies is completely adjusted to this new energy. It just is what it is. It's not a bad thing. It's just changing our routine, you know? Catherine, my empathy range has seemed to have gotten much bigger. Is that because of the shift? Yes, it is because of the, I'm telling you, it's like things that were vibrating at like a 2 are vibrating at a 10. It's craziness. This energetic vibe is just heightened everything. And so, yeah, and that will continue to be that way. It's not going to go away. It's going to continue to be that way. Brandy, I've learned a lot from you over the years. Brandy says, I've learned a lot from you over the years on being an empath. Once I found out I was an empath, it all made sense. I know. See, that's why I did that chat on the other thing of how to know if you're an empath. You would not believe how many emails I get like this. I did an article called 6 Signs How You Can Tell If You're an Empath. It is shocking how many people have emailed and just said, oh my God, thank you. I don't feel like something's wrong with me. Because the funny thing with being an empath is you can feel like something's wrong with you, like physically. It's you feel like weird, like, and you know it's not a normal thing, and you're trying to figure it out because your physical body seems fine, but then your brain automatically goes to, well, I feel weird, I don't feel right, and then your brain automatically goes to physical. But that's not what it is. It's spiritual. And so people go to the doctor, they try to figure it out. The other thing that they don't realize is so many kids are empaths. The amount of empathic kids right now is just more than I've ever seen in my life. And so that's really interesting. And parents are learning how to work with that a little bit better. But, you know, if you have kids are in tune, if they're telling you they don't like somebody or they don't want to be around a certain area, ask them why. Ask them questions. And if they just go, I don't know, it feels weird, if they use any of those types of language, trust your kids, because it's really important for them to be comfortable, and they won't shut it down. And I'm just seeing a lot of parents that are not, I guess, as in tune to realizing that their kids have a lot of these skills, and so they're like, no, you're fine there, go over there, or that person's fine, it's uncle or aunt, auntie, whoever is a great person, and they don't realize that these kids are picking up on a lot of energies. So Brandy says, oh wow, interesting, I feel better when my house is clean and organized. I didn't realize. It absolutely has to do with energies, I'm telling you. And the clean thing, and I probably should have said this in the other empathic, the spiritual chat session, is I have the worst time. I cannot go into pawn shops, and rummage sales are kind of okay sometimes if I go with people. I used to love to do that when I was younger, but anybody, or like a pawn shop type area, or like an old antique shop, I have really a lot of trouble with that. If you're an empath, you may have had a lot of issues with going into where there's older stuff. For me, it's just like an overwhelming wave of just way too much weird information, and some feels good, but a lot of it does not feel good, and it is really hard for me to do. So that's something. But yes, if you keep, I have been in some that are okay. They tend to have, you know, rock shops can be like that too. I can actually go into a lot of rock shops and beach shops that I'm like, this is because rocks hold so much energy that you have to have a good rock shop. So yes, keeping things clean, dusted, huge. It's not an aesthetic thing, it's an energetic thing. Let's see. How has the energy shift affected international events? Well, it's affected it a lot. Like I said before, anybody who was kind of unstable mentally or feeling off balance or off kilter, they're going to be doing some weird things. People who are not healthy are going to potentially decline in health. I mean, everybody's feeling it. It's making people, people who were not in a good state to begin with, uncomfortable. And so it makes them feel very there's a lot of negative, I guess, how would I say that? A lot of negative energies and a lot of negative things that can attach to people who are feeling very unbalanced on a spiritual level. When the tip happened, we have a lot of people that are just, they're not being affected well. They're not mentally well in the first place. They're feeling off kilter. They're panicking. They're straight up having panics, happening. What are the best ways to absorb panic energy? Can you expand on that a little bit more, Michael? I'll scroll down and see what I feel like I need to have more to be able to answer that for you. How does an empath learn to let go of what others are feeling? For example, Brandy says, when I know someone is going through a sad or stressful time, I can't stop thinking about them, even if to the point where it affects my sleep. Okay, well, first of all, this is going to be hard for you probably to learn. When you develop your psychic ability, your intuitive senses and all that stuff, you have to learn that you only have control over your own self and your own choices. Unfortunately, a lot of the people who I know in my personal life, and I've learned this over the years, who go through sad and stressful times tend to not do anything to make it different. They tend to make a lot of choices that lead up to these sad and stressful times out of fear, out of feeling like that they have to do the same thing over and over again. They tend to put themselves in these situations, and that was hard for me to accept when it was friends and family for a very long time. But as an empath, I had to learn to see it different because it was affecting me almost, I swear to God, worse than it was affecting them. It was weird, but it was true. And so now I would suggest you have to separate and pull yourself back from the situation. And the first thing that you do is when you pull back from the situation, you kind of view it from the outside and go, what are they doing to contribute to this situation? Because they usually, 99.9% of the time, they've gotten themselves into this sad or stressful situation by choices that they've made or choices that they will not make to get themselves out. And so you need to remove yourself, and you need to learn how that they have responsibility in that situation. Then you need to realize that a lot of times they will not, for a fact by either talking to them or just knowing their personality, that they would not do things to change their situation. And so the only thing that we really have control over is your children as they're small and us as adults. And if we don't stay healthy, then we can't help anybody else who actually needs help. Now, sometimes you will run across somebody who is willing to listen to you and make changes, and they're just ready for their life to change. They don't want to be in this situation. Then that's where you're helpful. Don't spend time agonizing and worrying over people who put themselves in crappy situations. If you want to do that, you could watch the news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but it's just, people just do it all the time. And I have time to help people who want to have a better life and want to do things to make things better, and they're not afraid. I don't have time to try to convince somebody to come from no longer in a fear area and do something different. I don't have time to convince somebody to do something different than what they're doing. I have time to help somebody if they're saying, I really need help and I'll do something, different. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you have to learn to just pull yourself back. Annie says, does this feeling other people's energy make it harder to connect with your own energy? I often have a hard time feeling connected with myself, if that makes sense. What makes sense about that statement is that you're not being able to separate other people's energy from your energy, number one. Number two, it also seems that as you're doing this, you're kind of out of body a lot of times. People don't realize that you can be out of body. You can run around like physically being able to operate your body, but not quite being connected into your body on a spiritual level, spiritual and physical. So you're kind of walking around like this. You can actually run around like that for years, and it's weird, and it makes you feel like you're not connected. So it tells me, number one, you're not being able to separate the two, and number two, that you're walking around out of body a lot of times. And Annie, I believe that you're in that class. So we're going to be covering some of that, and you need to do some grounding techniques also to get yourself back in your body and to stay grounded. And then there's some other things that you can do with that as well. So Leola says, my boyfriend is draining. I always get sleepy and yawn around him. I feel so bad because he doesn't mean it, but my empathic ability cannot tolerate him. Well, that's a bummer. I don't even know what to tell you. He's needing something. He's drawing from your battery. You imagine it like battery to battery, dead battery to full battery. And the only thing that you can do, well, you can do energetic blocks with that. But again, that's a lot of stuff that I'm going to be teaching in the class. It gets a little bit more extensive. So you need to be able to guard yourself around him and just allow him to. There's so much more that could be going into that, Leola. I feel that there's actually a lot more going into that. So I feel like we'd have to kind of get more in depth about what's happening with your boyfriend, because there's more going on than what we're talking about here. Miriam, I was wondering if this has anything to do with dreaming. I've always had very vivid dreams, and lately I can't remember any. That doesn't always, the shift doesn't have anything to do with you not remembering your dreams. That has to do with a personal thing. So that just has to do with blocking and how you're blocking it on a personal level. Now I know why I can't stand antique places. You know, I really want to like antique places. They have some cool things, but I just have a very hard time. Some people don't mean to be an emotional vampire. My boyfriend is one, which we just talked about. How often do I have to ground or shield, daily or hourly? You know, you need to do more visual grounding or shielding. So you need to be at nighttime, and in the morning time when you get up, you need to do more of a visual shielding. So imagine this visual, or just visually imagine that you have a shield around you, and then imagine that every time you're around the boyfriend that you're just feeling not so drained. So you need to go through a whole visualization process of feeling very strong energetically, and then just seeing yourself feel very strong energetically. That's again a whole thing that we teach in that that I'm going to be teaching in that class. So Michael, my understanding is that prana is essential spiritual energy will build up in our chakra centers. It makes all psychic activity possible. So what methods can we practice to acquire it? Okay, and that's a better question, because everybody will say, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about that? But the funny thing is, because there's so many teachings out there, they can tend to be talking about different things. So I want to always be clear when I'm answering a question. So I'm just reading through that again. So which we build up in our chakra centers, and it makes it all psychic activity possible. What methods can we practice to acquire it? Basically, there's some really good books on that, but there's some actual techniques where you imagine, and so you can you imagine them coming in. And I believe that the prana stuff that they practice is you can't see, but like in the tummy area. So you can, one of the techniques if you want to bring in prana energy is you pull a white light. You do visualization when you're laying down. You can do it when you're up. You can do it with Tai Chi. You just pull in lots of energy from the back, from the front, either way that you're comfortable with, but you pull a white light energy, pull it right into your tummy center. I don't want to stand up here, but like right where your third chakra would be. So you want to pull as much energy as you can in there, and you just constantly pull it in. So you want to be doing this daytime, nighttime, but it's different. It's not like you're pulling it into all your chakra centers. It's like you're pulling it into your midsection, into a big circle, like about this big. And it's a white light energy, whereas in your chakras are all different color energy. So you imagine pulling in just a very stark white light, and imagine pulling it in. The other thing, they do a lot of things with prana energy with balance as well. So you might want to do some research on that. The only prana energy stuff I've personally practiced with was pulling in the white light. I haven't had to, I've been very, very strong my whole life, so I haven't really had to practice pulling those in. So I guess what I would be interested in too, Michael, which you might want to ask because we'll probably be getting done, is what is it that you want to accomplish? Because I'm kind of interested in what you want to do with this prana energy. If you're wanting to just build up all the chakra centers and make the chakras stronger, or if you want to develop your psychic ability, like what kind of is your goal with that? Because you don't have to pull in prana energy. You don't have to necessarily activate your chakra centers with this to develop your psychic ability. People can do it without doing that, and then their chakra centers start to open and start to turn while they're developing. So there's different ways that you can do it. So I guess I would want to know what your goal was. So how can you open your root chakra? Your root chakra is not something necessarily that you open like this. You actually ground it like this. So you, with your root chakra, anything outside, you want to be, you know, go outside, put your toes in the grass, go outside, put your toes in the dirt, be anything at one with nature, where you're being with physical nature stuff, not like a deck, but like the ground. You have to be to the dirt, to the sand, to the grass. That's how you're going to be opening your root chakra. Jody says, oh my gosh, I love your explanation. It gives me a lot of clarity on what's going on in my life. Oh, that's so nice. You're so sweet. Thank you, Jody. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this. Michael, you can go ahead and answer that. I'm just trying to get a feel of what that you're wanting to accomplish, because I think that you can do it with... I've seen that you in my chats before, and you have some really great questions, but one of the things that I try to teach is, I feel like sometimes people try to overcomplicate things, and it's really a lot simpler than you think it is to develop your psychic ability and to just develop it very intensely, or to use it in certain ways. It's a lot easier than people think. So, Erica says, when I go to antique stores, I don't feel the energy unless I touch the item. Similarity is the same with people. What is that? That's clairsentience. That's something that's where you get psychic ability via touch. And so that's something a little bit different. I can get that as well. I have a whole thing of abilities, but that's like an actual, you can touch an item, you can touch a pen, you can touch a thing of car keys, and you can get physical or telepathic sensations, psychic ability stuff, feelings, pictures, all kinds of things. You can actually learn to develop that. That's a good one to develop too, with a lot of different things. It's just a different thing. So it's not like where you get it, where if you have to think about it or just be around it. You have to actually touch the item. That's not as common as you would think, by the way. So that's pretty cool. Miriam, thanks a lot. You're so helpful. Thank you. Jane says, thanks, Jennifer. I'm excited about your up-and-coming course. I'm manifesting the Canadian dollar improving before I sign up. Yeah, well, I will manifest that with you. That's super exciting. So, I guess I'm going to stop with the spirit chat, guys. I just want to leave you. I have a lot of questions that concerning about just different things. I know that there was the turkey shooting today. There's a lot of different international stuff going on. Yes, a lot of it has to do with a shift. No, there's not a lot you can do about it. You just want to be aware. You want to stay in the most positive vibe that you can stay in. You want to be in the best place you can be in an individual level. Like, that's the thing. You just want to be in the best place that you can be in. You know, you want to take self-care. That's really important, and learn to understand your gifts. The more that you learn to understand your gifts, the more that everything in the future coming up is going to be a lot more easily navigated. You're going to find that it's going to enhance your life. You're going to find some really cool things, because you can also work with universal laws, which is just the way that the universe works anyway. So, you know, work on yourself. Just try to be aware of and sensitive to the things that are going on in the world, but understand that there's just not much you can do about it right now. And just, you know, be good to yourself. Clean, take naps, keep your space clean, get some rocks, and enjoy life. So that's what you want to do now. And don't get hung up on other people's sadness. Don't do that. It's not helpful. So have a good night, and we will see you next week. Okay, bye.